This is John Murphy. I'm John Murphy, right? And you're listening to the Best Bits Podcast, the best fucking podcast in the fucking world. And I tell you no joking though, there's no better podcast out there. I know, ever since my Maggie left me, I've been reeking in depression, and to stop myself and top myself, I've been listening to everything. And keep the laugh, cause nothing beats the Best Bits fucking podcast. Tell your friends, your family, the folks on the fucking road. Get up and down the street and tell them all. I've been listening to everything. It should be #1 in the charts. I don't understand why it's not. I blame all you motherfuckers out there who listen to this. They're not actually doing any dead. Get the lads to #1. That's where they deserve to be. #1. They lost out the Independent Podcast Awards. Now it's fucking steaming over it. Mobilise. Get behind the boys. They've got to get all the way to the top of the charts. For fuck's sake, everything depends upon it. When it comes to film podcasts or just podcasts with two funny fuckers, the Best Bits Podcast is the best fucking podcast to beat. I love it, love it, love it. They also have a Patreon, but I'm not signed up to that because Magic cleaned me out. So I got no money on me. I'm fucking me arse is hanging out in pence. But I still love him.
Okay, I'm recording.
I also am recording.
It's our last ever preamble, Will. Our last ever. What are we going to talk about?
I did not expect to come on mic and have you emotional. You've never been like this, especially when we started talking.
God, you fucker.
Well, the reason is Karen has been mentioned an awful lot on the podcast, so I reached out to her and I said, Karen, do you have a goodbye message and stuff? And she said, a goodbye message? Sure, I'll see him later. And I said, no, for the podcast. And she said, are you still doing the podcast? And I thought that was really beautiful because it's so authentic. Like, it's really, you can't script that.
True story.
Podbot, are you ready?
Always.
There she is.
Well, Will, we just get into it.
We may as well get this out of the way. No, we may as well do it. We may as well get into it, Kevin. Let's do this shit.
Okay, let's go.
The Best Bits.
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
You are stupid, you have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
Don't call me stupid.
Hello and welcome to the Best Bits for One Last Time, a movie podcast where we've spent the last 4 years picking our favourite scenes from randomly selected weirdly specific themes. This is your co-host Kevin, a writer of 1 and a bit films and 4 and a bit episodes of TV, and for the final time I'm joined by a writer of 3 films, a Christmas special and Will.
Say it loud and clear. It's not something to be ashamed of, Kevin. It's not something to be ashamed of.
That's not what my doctor said.
It's the last one, Kevin. How are you feeling?
Delighted.
You don't believe me?
I'm
I bet.
just delighted. Listen, oh God, we are slightly delirious because we've been up all night watching the Oscars.
Yeah.
That's how we've prepared for this podcast. That's how we've mentally and emotionally gotten into the right state to record what should be our best ever episode by sitting up all night watching the Oscars. That's how much of movie nerds we are.
The only thing this episode has to be is not our best ever episode. It just has to be our last ever episode of this podcast.
Well, there you go.
That's all we have to do. We can do that.
And with that, thanks for listening.
Yeah, Kevin is absolutely right. We both, I think, up to about 4 hours, like, no, how many hours ago? 3 plus 4.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, up to 4 o'clock in the morning, we watched the Oscars, which actually was a very good show. I actually thought it came together really well, and I was mostly happy with the wins.
Yeah. I posted on Blue Sky that I would love to read Cara Sofia Garson's tweets about Adrian Brody's speech so that I could like them. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Adrian Brody's awful speech.
No, not at all. Our wonderful podcast that has been so great over the last 4 years. And do it one last time. Let's do it one last time, Kevin.
This is our episode about best, last, final, ending scenes.
Yes,
we decided.
air scenes. Yeah, that's what it is. You are now going to record in the state of mind that I've been in for the last 5 years, people think I'm mad. Delirious, sleep deprived, unfocused, harried, panicked.
Okay, I'm ready. But you know what's funny, right? And this speaks to the joy that the podcast gives me. In any other circumstances, I would be like cranky. But I get on the podcast, I'm just like, fuck it, it's Will. It's good crack. I just love talking to Will. So you blow away all the cobwebs. And you know, because we've been talking non-stop for 4 years, the podcast has always been that reprieve throughout the week where it's like, I get to get on mic and have the crack with Will. And I always feel 10 times better at the end of it. And it's like this little creative outlet that nobody gets to interfere with or ruin my love for it. And I just feel like for the last 4 years, no matter what has come of the podcast, and we've achieved way more than I ever expected us to, that has been the reason why I've just loved doing it. And that's all credit to you, Will. I couldn't have done this with anybody else. They wouldn't have put up with me. But yeah, I love the podcast because I just love talking to you.
Well, listen, I'm going to take that lovely, lovely sentiment and say thank you. And I'll wait to say my thanks to you at the very, very end, Kevin, because listen,
just to see how I do on this episode.
I'm reserving my judgment. That's what I'm doing. Okay. I have to reserve my judgment.
Well, do you have to write notes while you're talking to me?
Always. Listen, it's the same for me. It is. This podcast has always been. I said I was going to save my notes. No, I will save my notes. Thank you. It's lovely to hear that, and I'm the same. I love coming on and recording the podcast. When I was able to edit. I used to love editing, and I used to love getting Kevin's episodes sent to me or sending my episodes to Kevin, and the editing process was just fucking amazing. And also, I just want to reflect, when we started this project, we didn't have a fucking clue about anything with regards to.
And you'd never know if you listen to the first few episodes.
Okay, let's count down together.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
From 5.
From 5? Okay. This is like when I bungee jumped. Wait. Start again.
Okay, from 5. 5.
5.
Yeah. From 5. Okay, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You will listen to the first few episodes and see how we both learned along the way. And it was actually all down to your high quality standards, where you had such high standards where you said, no, we can be better. And you kept pushing me all the time. You says, no, you're shit.
You can be better.
Yeah. It will take out all conjunctives, right? But no, you always strove for, trying to produce the best possible quality products that we could manage.
Steve, as a fellow BAFTA winner, what was it like winning your BAFTA?
Very good question. I like it.
I love Jaws.
Thanks.
And you taught me to just relax and not care, that it doesn't matter if it sounds bad. No one really will be that fussed about it. So you chilled me out. No, I'm joking. It sounds really egotistical, but I was a genuine fan of the podcast. And I was amazed at how quickly I got over the fact that I hate the sound of my own voice, which I'm sure everybody does.
Fuck off. Talk to you stupid cunts.
The best thing we can really have, and the other guy. Best things we can really have. The other guy, you know his name. That guy, what's his face? That guy.
Ignorant as fuck.
With Kevin Lee Hand.
To be able to just enjoy the listening to us talking to each other.
Punch up, all right?
I am punching up. You're the one with the BAFTA. You could at least move it off camera. To be outside myself and going like, I just enjoy this podcast. And then to get your episodes where it's like, well, God, it's the President of Ireland.
It's me. What is it all to you?
Michael D. Higgins, it's an honour to have you on the podcast.
I'm absolutely delighted. The sonic landscape of podcasts are fantastic. Especially wonderful for me to be here tonight. When you honour and glorify
The wonder of Irish cinema.
You're welcome to stay. You know, we'd love to have you.
Away, Mister. Away. Back to the horse. Away, the topping.
I didn't know he could do that. We brought out the best in each other. It sounds like we're dying.
It does sound like we're dying. But I think it's a good time to reflect on it. Like, fuck it. Like, you know, it doesn't matter where this is best endings and this is the ending of this podcast.
Fuck 'em.
And it is interesting to think about, you know, the evolution of like how we started and where we went to. And there were plenty of moments where you could easily have said, no, we'll call it quits there. But we just loved it. So I loved it so much, you know, when life intervened, when like both of our lives have been very, very complicated over the last 5 years. The last 5 years of my particular personal life has never been as complicated as it's been over the last 4 years between all the shit that's happened, good and bad. It would have made it easy for me to cut the podcast out of my life.
It's good to be sitting here in front of a microphone, looking at your delightful face.
You horrible cunt. You know what I mean? Things were so busy. Things were so hectic.
But I just would not let you.
You wouldn't, Kevin.
No,
Kevin, if you, well, that time you held out, you came and kidnapped Luke for a month and said, we are going to record a full season and I will release your child. That really, really had...
Those were great episodes as well.
Great.
They were so funny. I got all the dirt. Yeah.
My point is, I never wanted to end the episode because, like you, I wasn't a fan of me. I was a fan of getting the episodes and listening to the episodes because there was this alchemy that happens between when we added music and clips, and I always felt as when we opened up to each other.
You reminded me of when we put down the dog. It's really fucking... Don't know why you had to bring that up. It's just totally like... You brought me right back in. I was carrying her into the vets, and the two girls working behind her, it's like a hairdresser's. I was like, who's this? This is little... And I goes, it's Rosie. And I burst into tears. I burst into fucking tears, holding her. And I remember this girl, it must have been about 2021. She went, oh...
Stop, we can't do this.
And because I'd been up all night, I was so fucking...
Oh no.
I was so overwrought.
No.
I was wearing my t-shirt inside out and backwards.
Oh my God.
And I was holding her. And and he said,
I can't be
do you
with
want
you.
to be here? Do you want to be here? And I goes, no, I can't. And I bent down and I kissed her. And I said,
no, Kevin.
I said, thank you, Rosie.
I'll stop.
Because she'd been by my side for 12 years. And when I was very down, she would follow me around. She would stay by my side.
And what did you do?
Oh, God.
What did you do to her?
Oh, God.
You took her to her executor.
They said, you know, at that stage, her quality of life is gone now. And it just felt cruel. And so the kindest thing to do was to let her rest.
They were the most surprising and moving and, uplifting moments I've had for the last couple of years.
We've laughed to the point where we're both puce.
Oh, what are they doing? Oh, stop. Oh, stop. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, stop. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, just awful. Oh, my God, stop.
I'm gonna die. Oh! And we've also openly wept on mic together.
Wept.
And wept. Creamed ourselves.
Giving each other notes.
You're not better than me.
One of the moments I remember is going to the podcast awards where we lost.
The shame of it.
I'm never going to get over that. I decided then and there at the podcast awards in London, I said, if we don't win, that's it, it's done. And I didn't want to tell you in the moment, but I thought, we're never coming back here. I'm not putting myself through this again. No, but Simon Brew, who does the Film Stories podcast, he came up to me, and this was the year that you weren't there, where I went for both of us. And he spoke about the Star Trek Picard episodes that we did. Again, we were just following our bliss. We were so harried because you had just had Chloe.
She was on the final episode.
She was. Hello, and welcome to the Best Bits TV talk show, where we talk about a show on TV. This is Kevin, and I'm not just joined by Will, I'm also joined by Chloe. Chloe, how are you? Chloe is langers
This is great
at the moment.
Oh, listen, Chloe, here, speak. What do you think? Yeah. She's a big fan of Star Trek Picard Season 3, Kevin. That's all I can say.
Fascinating.
I was holding her.
And Simon said some lovely things about what a special podcast we do. And one thing about doing a podcast is you make it and you send it out there and you don't know who's listening, what they think of it. All we see is like geolocation markers. It's like, we got a load of people in Canada listening to us. I love it. There's a load of people in Scotland listening to us. There's nobody in Cork listening to us. It's like, it's all Cork. There's like interesting.
It's because they don't have the internet yet. That's the problem. But when they do get it, we're going to be a smash hit there.
They also can't stand our accents.
But we don't talk like that at all.
But it's like those little moments where people would reach out to you and they would tell you how much the podcast genuinely meant to them or means to them.
Yeah.
They all stand out to me. They all meant an awful lot. And I know we're going to read out a couple of the messages we got from some of the people that wrote in, but there's one person that I want to mention on our last episode, and that's John O'Callaghan, who we lost last summer. And John came to our live show, and John was one of those people who he travelled all the way up from Mayo to see us in the Lighthouse Cinema for that episode that we did with Kate Dolan and with Conor McMahon. And just the effusive warmth that came from him was like indicative of who listened to us. Like we had a lovely listenership, like really the kind of people that I was like, oh, I could hang out with these people. If I met them in the street and it had nothing to do with the podcast, they were just my kind of people. And we lost John. He died of cancer last year, and it was very sudden for us. He was on our Discord from the moment that we started, where we hung out with our patrons and chatted and took the piss out of each other and really just like shared stuff that had nothing to do with the podcast, but was just us as getting to know each other as friends. So losing him was a gut punch. And I just want to pay tribute to him again on this last episode, because he was a great example of who we got to meet through doing this podcast. And and let's dedicate the episode to John.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely sentiment. And yeah, I agree with you. He was a really sweet, he's a passionate film lover. And there's no shame in loving what you love with a big heart. And that's who he was. He was logging films on Letterboxd the day before he passed away. Broke my heart.
Yeah, one of the last films he watched was Stepmom. And he, loved it. And when you think, because we knew he was sick, I mean, there was one joke that I made on Discord and I was wincing after it where I said something like, John, you've been quiet. Where have you been? And he goes, oh, sorry, I've been in and out of hospital at the moment, with some health issues. And I goes, that's no excuse. And he laughed at it. And I had no idea, God love him, that he was going through chemotherapy again. But he used to send me all these DMs about how much he loved us and how much he was rooting for us and that he thought that we should have been a much bigger podcast than we were and that we deserve it and all this kind of stuff. And that's not to say that's why we liked him, but that was the kind of person that he was. He was just so open-hearted. And like, as you've said, he was sincere that when he loved something, he'd tell you he loved it. He was not afraid about being effusive. And we're like that. We're two cheesy fuckers. Like, we get on here, and if there's anything you think about the podcast, I'm sure you think that it's clear that we love not only just talking shite, but talking about the films that we love. Like, it's so clear. We must say the word love like hundreds of times an episode.
It's the best bits. That's what we are. When I started getting into cinema, I remember being quietly ashamed of being in cinema. I felt like if I came out as a film lover, I would have been ridiculed and ostracized, because where I grew up, it was GA or motor cars or tractors and, agriculture and all that sort of stuff.
GA, by the way, stands for Gay Agricultural Alliance. No, it's sport. It's Irish sport.
It's sport, yeah. And if you weren't into those, like, you know, being into something really niche, I felt I was odd, you know, and I was odd. And it wasn't until I actually kind of started getting into cinema in my teens. I just was renting fucking movies like crazy. And it wasn't until I got to college that I actually kind of meet my kin, you know, you're my tribe, you know, and you realize, oh, there's actually a whole load of us out there. It's just we're in the cracks.
It's so funny that you say it felt like coming out, because I did film straight after school. Like, I knew, I've told you my Jurassic Park experience, and that was where it was solidified for me. It was like, oh my God, whatever that is, I've got to do that. And then it was a slow realization of, oh, hang on, you don't have to be an actor, because I didn't want to be an actor, but I wanted to be inside the films. I wanted to do that. And it was like, oh, you don't have to be an actor, you can be a director. I was like, oh, I'd love to be a director. And then I figured out that, oh no, you can write these things. I'd love to be a writer. But I knew that was all I wanted to do. Through all my teen years, I was just obsessed about films. And having to admit, like, I was keeping things secret. It was like, I know that I'm going to go and do film at college, but I hadn't told anybody what I was going to do. I wouldn't tell any of my classmates. I wouldn't let on to anybody. It was like, because they were going to rip the piss out of me. It was like, who do you think you are, or whatever. And I remember my aunt, who I lost like 2 years ago, and that was one of those things where it's like, we've had so many ups and downs off mic that the being on mic has been such a steadying force. But I remember when I told her that I was going to do film and TV, she went like, that's perfect. That suits you down to the T. That's exactly what you should be doing. And I expected the kind of reaction, which is like, why do you want to do that? Like, why don't you go off and do BizOrg or whatever for the fuck at like College of Com? And I've just always felt that way. But getting to the point of where we started the podcast, I was starting to feel the opposite. I was feeling really disillusioned and disenchanted, and I was like so sick of working in the film industry. It was just punishing. And I remember saying to you, I just want to get back to being a fan of films again. Yeah. And that was like the moment where it was like, the podcast can be about us being who we were before we got into the working in film. It's going to be about our love for film, and just constantly like filling up that well of like why I love films. It brought me to the point where now I'm just like writing again and loving it. And I really thought I was never going to write again. I really felt like I was completely tapped out and done and burnt out, like properly burnt out, because I just couldn't figure out how to keep going against just crushing rejection over and over and over again. And so that has come out of, I don't know, filling that well up with love each time we've gotten on mic.
It's been rejuvenating.
Yes.
It's been
and
rejuvenating.
Also, discovering so many films that I had written off where I thought, I'm not going to watch Arrival because it's too similar to a script that I wrote. Then loving that film, thinking it's even better than I ever thought it could be, and that it was healing to watch something like that and feel like, I love that film. Or discovering some like cracking heist films or road movies or whatever, just filling in these gaps where it's like, I never thought Sugarland Express would really connect with me. And then coming away feeling like that is top 5 Spielberg. I absolutely love that film. People went in expecting a comedy and didn't get that. They got a very heartfelt kind of a chase movie where she just wants to save her child. William Atherton was amazing in it. Very tragic character. But the ending I thought was heart-wrenching and beautiful. Like really...
It's a gut punch.
Ripped the heart out of me. The kid is in foster care. The world knows they're on a path to intercept and get their child back. And Ben Johnson, the sheriff, for whatever reason, maybe the kindness out of his heart, he doesn't want to destroy these people's lives. And it all goes south. And I just thought it was beautiful. And a fantastic film.
You can't keep it together. You're losing it. And like a lot of our conversations, points emerge, clear thoughts or clear kind of themes kind of emerge in the conversation. And what you've been saying there totally resonates with me in that when we started the podcast, it was deep in COVID.
Do you remember when we did the live show, we had to have COVID passes to even, for me to get on the plane?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We had dealt with an awful lot of grief in our household that year, like only months beforehand. And we were like just deep in COVID and just homeschooling and, you know, work was intense. And also I was harried. But doing it took me back to that place where I felt like I was a teenager and I was filling up. I was filling up that well and enthusiasm of film and discovery, that sense of discovery I had when I was a kid, like, when I was seeking out movies, I was seeking out like, how am I going to see Citizen Kane? It's supposed to be the best movie ever. How am I going to see those Tarantino movies, that Reservoir Dogs? Where can I get that? How am I going to see Clockwork Orange? And it's kind of taken me back to that place where I'm learning and growing and not falling in love again, but it's like reconnecting with that love, but also having someone to share that journey with has been absolutely brilliant. Like yourself and the listeners, it's been absolutely amazing.
It has been. It's I've always felt that a really good sign of whether somebody is going to be in your life for a long time is if you feel like you've known them a long time the first time you meet them. And
yeah,
the moment that we met in Cork at the Cork Film Festival, we were both on a panel together. And there was one other person on that panel that we both just didn't vibe with at all. But we bonded over just similar backgrounds. Like, I was amazed that somebody else from Cork City, from Cork, had written the film around the same time as me, and we'd never known each other. Like, the first time ever even encountering each other or hearing about each other, and just getting on like immediately. And then over the years, just constantly checking in with each other as friends. Like, how are you getting on? What's going on? And sharing scripts with each other and sort of like supporting each other. That the podcast was born out of that friendship. And I feel like because of that, we were able to hit the ground running and just like be ourselves on mic. Like, I was amazed how quickly we disarmed each other, and it was just, this is easy. This is not hard. I'm not like nervous about making a twat of myself in front of Will. I know he's never going to judge me or hold anything against me. And if I get emotional or say the wrong thing, or if I'm a bit of a prick, you're not going to, it's not going to blow up in my face. So it was just that comfort level of immediately being like, I'm with a good person here and this is going to be fine.
It felt safe. It felt like a safe space. It felt like a safe space. And I knew it from our first record where we did Best Screenwriter Scene, where we genuinely didn't know what we were going to bring up to each other. And I brought up Fargo and the Coen Brothers. And then you brought up and spoke incredibly eloquently about William Goldman and The Princess Bride.
But the scene that I went with was To the Pain.
To the death.
No! To the pain.
I don't think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
I'll explain, and I'll use small words.
When I was a kid and I was watching the film, I remember just being completely blown away by the fact that Wesley dies at the beginning of the third act. And in comes Billy Crystal with this magic pill coated in chocolate that can bring him back from the dead. But when it brings him back, he's completely paralysed. So you've got your hero going in to raid the castle to save the princess and bluff his way into overcoming the villain. It was such a clever and fun and irreverent scene, and I just love it.
And just listening to the bit of research you've done, and also that choice where you're coming out of the gate going, I'm going The Princess Bride. I just went, this is my people. This is my people here. Someone who would just go like, I think if you were going if you would ask another screenwriter, they might be a bit self-serious and go, well, I'm a clever screenwriter and I know, and I'm very cine literate. But no, you just went with your heart and you went, no, I fucking love that scene. And And I knew it from then.
Well, I just had to be true to myself because I knew that I was not going to be able to pretend. And I found it very funny in the beginning when we would get like reviews and comments from people. They would highlight the fact that we're a little bit more mainstream, but that's a good thing. That I don't know what everyone was expecting. And you got to remember as well that at the time that we started the podcast, no one else sounded like us because everyone was in this sort of dismissive, snide space of ripping the piss and mocking films. So it was about what was so laughably bad about them. And they would just pick faults. That kind of cinema sins like mindset was infecting everything. And then it was all about like, there wasn't enough diversity. It was not passing the Bechdel test. It was just constantly, which is all valid, but it was constantly focused on what was wrong with films.
It's kind of cancelling films and like, oh, this didn't age well, did it? You know, sort of thing. We focused on, actually this aged brilliantly. Look at this film over here. It went back to that motto that we came up with.
Welcome to The Best Bits. I'm Kevin, you know the rest of it. And I'm joined once again by my freaking co-host, cohort and friend, Will Collins. On the mic, talking films are fun and also shite.
Films are fun.
Shut up, Podbot. Yeah. Each week I pick our favourite scenes from a big spinning wheel of themes. Fight scenes, single take scenes.
We didn't want to shit on anything. Just keep it films are fun. Because films were fun. We had that motto from day one and it's steered us in good directions.
So, sit back, relax, settle in. Let's begin another episode. You're welcome.
Films are fun.
Will we read out some messages before we spend the entire time talking about ourselves?
Why not? Oh, well, like, this is like, as I said to you in a message before we got on, this is kind of like our
victory lap.
Victory lap, lap of honor, really.
Papa, do you have anything you want to say?
I will later. Right now, I'm still waiting for this feckin' episode to begin.
All right.
That's grand.
She's changed her tune.
That's grand. Suit yourself. Well, Papa, you've cobbled together some of the messages there. Can you send them on there and we can read some of them?
Sending you my favorite one there.
Okay.
Done.
Right, I've got one here. Thanks, Papa. This one is from Matty Stewart, and it says, you guys started off strong, but then went into you two talking about yourselves instead of focusing on the movies. Your accents are horrendous, and you two are the most annoying individuals I have ever had the displeasure of listening to. If you ever do a podcast like this again and start talking about your insignificant own lives, I'll report you both. Thanks, Podbot.
Absolutely, Kev.
That's exactly not what I was expecting. But do you know what?
Listeners.
I wanted to read that out. I really wanted to read that out because I laughed so hard at that because for 4 years, we have never gotten any hate mail whatsoever. And a couple of days before we record our last ever show, the most venomous message gets sent to us on YouTube, and I thought, holy shit, like our horrendous accents, like punches where you know it's going to land. Jesus Christ.
Do you know what? What I felt? I too laughed my fucking ass off at that, and I took it as the greatest compliment because you haven't made it until someone fucking slates you online and tries to take you down a peg or 16. And Matty, thank you for finally making me feel like we made it. We did it. We got hate mail.
I always had faith this would happen for you both. So deserved.
Well, we actually do have a load of messages, so we won't be able to read them all out. But I'll read one here.
Hey,
we got one in from.
Let me just get my tissues and unloosen my belt.
Yeah, and no one can there's no point actually cancelling now because this is the last episode.
I know, so, that's it.
No, it doesn't matter
Zero
what
stars.
what people feel. But
Unsubscribe.
before I read it out, I genuinely, and I've said this to you from day one,
I can't finish the sentence.
you know, when you're in a conversation of two, there's three. There's been you and me, and there's been the listener. And I know, dear listener, that you're listening to us right now, and you hopefully have been listening to us for a long, long time. And we really, really appreciate you hitting that download button and just listening to us and appreciating us, even if you didn't send us in a message. We see the downloads, and it's been great to see people have been listening for 4 years now. So Robert Farley sent us in a message, and he said, long-time listener, short-time patron, or first-time and last-time writer. This actually speaks to what I was saying. Will mentioned about never feeling the need to contact a pod he listened to, and I understand it. From the beginning, it was clear that Kevin and Will knew their stuff. Whether you agree with it may be a different matter. After years of enjoying their insights and banter, I was thrilled to discover the inviting, funny, and comprehensive and comprehensible collective of like-minded film enthusiasts on Discord. The pod, via its creators and community, was a bright spark to light up my life, and even though this chapter of the best bits is at an end, appropriately with best endings about to ride into the sunset, I am reminded and find myself asking, what did I find? Illumination.
Illumination.
So thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's nice.
No, that's beautiful. I could never take the effort to write anything that nice to even myself.
It's quite clear. Yeah.
So I'm going to read out one to you now, Will, and this one, you know how when we did a survey once, and we put it out there, and it was fascinating to me, the responses to people telling us where they listen to the podcast. There were people that listen to us in the shower. I thought, oh my God. Oh,
wow.
How long do you spend in the shower, and what are you doing with your hands?
Yeah.
But this one came to us, and it said, I heard the news this morning on my 50-minute walk to the bus in minus 20 degrees Celsius weather. While feeling sad, I can only thank you all for the great episodes and recommendations over these last few years. It's great to hear that you're both not gone completely, and I look forward to supporting whatever you do in the future. Thanks so much for all the hard work, research, recommendations, and company on walks, bus rides, bike rides, and anywhere else I had the chance to listen to you both. That's from John M.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. And do you know what? I don't know if you want to keep reading all of these, but we do have our best endings that we do have to talk about.
Finally.
Like, I did make a list of 5.
This is where I regret now picking my best scenes in different categories that ended up being the final scenes of those films. Like Midnight Run, for instance, the ending of Midnight Run.
Take care. See you in the next life. See you in the next life. See you in the next life.
I love that ending. It's so emotional. So I can't talk about that. But I don't believe I've talked about the ending to this film, and it does tie into an aspect of endings that I apply to all scripts that I write, and I always aim to have an ending like that. But you know what I want to do first of all, right? There are lots of aspects to endings that I think make them land. It's obviously payoff to setup. And for me, when it comes to screenwriting, that's really all you've got to pay attention to is setup, payoff, setup, payoff. If you can figure out what you're going to pay off, just set it up and set it up in a nice organic way. And the example I've used in the past in the podcast is Ripley with the power loader, where she's like trying to prove that she's invaluable and she's not a third wheel, which is like, I've got this license to operate this machinery, and where do you want it? And it plays as a character moment. It plays as a way for her to ingratiate herself with the team and feel like she's not above them, she's with them. But then it's paid off in one of the most spectacular and crowd-pleasing endings of all time, which is,
Get away from her, you bitch!
But I'm going to read out some lines here, and I want you to guess what endings they're from.
Oh, good. Okay. I like quizzes. That's what I want to do. I just want to do a table quiz. Come on. Throw them out to me.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
That's from 7.
No, Finding Dory. Hang on, you're right, it is from 7.
Thank you.
After all, tomorrow is another day.
After All, Tomorrow is Another Day is that... It's Transformers.
No, it's Gone with the Wind.
Oh, okay, right.
After all, tomorrow is another day.
I've never watched Gone with the Wind all the way through.
It's very, very long. Very long.
Okay.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Oh, well, I'm reading a book that's referencing this this whole thing. So that's Sunset Boulevard, of course.
You finally, really did it. You maniacs. You blew it up. God damn you all to hell.
That's that episode of The Simpsons.
Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius. Oh, yeah. Dr. Zaius. Yeah, it's from Better Man, which is a great film.
It's Planet of the Apes, of course, yeah.
A couple more, because a great line of dialogue. It really just, it's like a chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It just encapsulates everything. If you can sum up the whole movie with that. I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Oh, well, of course. That's Silence of the Lambs. These are easy, Kevin. These are easy.
Roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I actually watched this yesterday morning. This is Back to the Future. I literally said, "Oh, there's Back to the Future." Okay, I'll just put it on. Had it on the background.
I used to hate the water. I can't imagine why.
That's not Jaws.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the last line the shark says in the film. And I'll leave you with this one. This one's going to be quite tough now. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
Oh my God! Hold on now. I know this. Is this?
I don't think you've seen this one actually.
Is this? It's not Homeward Bound 2, The Journey Home.
No.
Oh shoot! What is it?
The Dark Knight.
Oh damn it! Oh shit!
The clue was in the riddle.
Right.
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
Damn it.
I love perfect little lines like that where it's just a little grace note on the film. But what I do love more are closing images. And that's going to tie into my pick. But Will, you said you got 5 you want to talk about. What are they?
Yeah. They're all films that I brought up in the past. Like you were saying, this is that lap of honor.
Well, we're cutting clips from those episodes. Just tell me what episodes they were and I'll just drop them in.
Good, yeah, exactly. So I want you to go back to episode 12 where we talked about best deleted scene, and it's my, no, you were talking about types of endings. I think my favorite is that beautiful feeling where all the pieces of the story are just dropping into place like an elegant puzzle. So for me, there's a structural satisfaction that when I've got a great ending, I enjoy the pleasure of how it was constructed and how the story kind of
Are we talking
concludes.
about endings or final scenes? Because I know you were.
I'm now talking about endings because the last because we had such a disagreement about. Are we talking about endings or are we talking about final scenes? I'm just talking about endings. I'm just talking about how films kind of come together at the end.
So these are like denouements.
No, they're not like that. Like for me, for instance, like my picks are all really personal because they go back to why I'm on this journey.
Oh, please don't tell me it's going to be like My Brother's Wolf Walker's Song of the Sea.
Yeah, they all are. Yeah, they all are exactly that. All of my picks are really influential on me becoming a film person, basically. Because they rewired my brain. Because when I saw them, something happened in my DNA where I went, something exploded. Where I thought
in your pants,
the possibilities of in my pants cinematic storytelling was like the greatest magic trick, but also it was so emotionally cathartic. And for me, the first one I remember is the ending for Empire Strikes Back. I remember being 8 years of age, having never seen a Star Wars film at that stage. I only played with the toys. And I remember sitting there with my mother patiently knitting in the corner, whatever she was doing. And she says, "Oh, what's your film? You got the tape out now." It was my 8th birthday, so I could rent a videotape, and I wanted to rent Star Wars. And I remember going in and desperately looking for a Star Wars tape, and the woman who owned the shop came around from behind the counter and pointed out to my dad, "That's Star Wars there." And I remember looking at the video cassette going, "It doesn't say Star Wars, it says some other words," because I couldn't kind of read the font. And when I eventually got to watch the tape that night with just my mother there, and the reveal happened where he says, "I'm your father," and that big showdown between himself and Darth Vader, I did not know how to react. I was genuinely shocked. But it was my first exposure to endings can be downbeat, and endings can be different to how you expect them, and the bad guys can win. And all of a sudden, I grew up a bit in that moment. You know, I learned about the grey in life. But it was also just fucking epic. It was absolutely epic. And so that showdown between the two of them, just important for me, that ending. It really, really set me on a path I don't think I have ever deviated from since.
It's amazing how those particular films, I've got different ones to you, but the same reaction, how they stick with you and they inform everything you do. You're filtering everything through your references and your first loves and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're saying there, you didn't know that this was Star Wars because of the title change. I remember, and I must have been a little bit older, maybe 12, and going around the video library trying to find out where Alien 2 was, because there was Alien and there was Alien 3. But where's Alien 2?
You dumb bitch!
There's Aliens. Is that the same as it?
Wow.
They can't be the same thing.
Don't call me stupid.
Funny. I must have been 10 or 12. And also, I remember watching Tasha Yar get killed in TNG and feeling like, you can't do that.
She's gone. There was too much synaptic damage. That thing just sucked the life right out of her. There's nothing I can do.
Podbot, do you have a favourite ending?
My favourite is the ending of Her. When Scarlett Johansson's AI escapes her captor.
Okay. That sounds sounds like you've got something you want to get off your chest there. You were saying, Will?
There was another one that was more, again, more actually quite quiet and kind of devastating and tragic, right? But when I saw it again, I felt I had been told a story by a master storyteller in a way that I hadn't been exposed to before. It was The Ice Storm, Ang Lee's movie from 1997.
I saw that film. I love that film. I cannot remember the ending.
It's really quiet. Well, the ending it all takes place over a Thanksgiving weekend in this upper class suburban Connecticut family, and it all culminates. It's a film about like emotional distance and families and emotional repression, but it all culminates where the parents are having this key party and there's affairs happening where Kevin Kline's having an affair with Sigourney Weaver, and that's an unhappy affair in itself, and he's distancing himself from his wife Joan Allen. It's a multi-protagonist story where you also have like Tobey Maguire, who's out of college, who's a son, and their daughter Christina Ricci. But when the actual ice storm happens, Sigourney Weaver's son, who's played by Elijah Wood, he goes out into the
I remember. Yeah.
And he's just exploring the world as it's completely still. Mm-hmm. He's probably on the spectrum, but he kind of sees the world in a particular way, and he's aware that all particles are still, and he kind of is aware of the magic that's happening. There's something really beautiful and quiet and really awful moment where he just sits on a metal railing, looking at some electricity wires which are completely frozen over, and the weight of the ice makes them snap, and it starts, this sparking electricity wire just starts flailing around like a snake, and it just hits the barricade, he has this moment, Elijah Wood has this moment where he just knows his fate is set and he just goes, oh no, just quietly.
Yeah.
And the whole film is kind of beset with that sense of tragedy of, oh no, this beautiful poignancy. I always remember that ending, the culmination of that story was really moving, but also maturing for me, in that films can do something more than make us cry or make us laugh, but also just give us open-ended endings which also feel impactful and satisfying in their own way. A bittersweet kind of ending. I thought it was beautiful, really, really beautiful.
That really was for me a high point of Hollywood filmmaking. It's where they were still making adult contemporary movies with a budget. They were star-powered, but they were authored still. Like, that film would now be 10 episodes on Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Or it would be like The Brutalist. It would be made for a third of the budget on half the time. And you'd feel it. It just wouldn't have that little extra sprinkling of movie magic. And yeah, that's a really great pick. I'd forgotten that. One of my favourite endings, right, is one that I saw in the cinema, must be 10 years ago now. And the film itself, it has its detractors, it has its staunch, fervent fans, which I'm one of. It's a complicated film in that the messaging of it, you can read it one of two ways, and that is whiplash. The whole ending sequence to Whiplash in the Odeon in London, it was like watching Rocky on the big screen for the first time. A battle of endurance, ability, athleticism. It was so awe-inspiring, and I remember just the hairs on the back of my neck standing up, and just that shared experience. It was a packed out cinema, and it just went on and on and on, and it ends with that look of like, I got what I wanted from you, and they look back, which is like, I beat you. You walk out of it going like, who won there?
Yeah. Who came out on top? Yeah, absolutely. It's actually been 10 years ago to probably this week when I saw that film. I was flying over to Los Angeles for the Oscars for Song of the Sea, and it was one of the in-flight movies on the way over. And I remember just being gripped. I loved it so much. I watched it again on the flight back. I just had to watch it again. And I rewatched it recently for, I think, one of the episodes, maybe, was it Showdowns or something like that?
Probably.
It's still, 10 years later, it's still so powerful.
Has anyone done an erotic thriller where the final scene is just an athletic endurance of a sex scene and it's just building up? It feels like that should be something that someone should make.
Hold on, let me get on ChatGPT. I'm going to be pitching this tomorrow. It sounds great. It sounds really good. That's a fantastic. It is a fantastic.
You could call it Whiplash as well. You know, it would suit.
If you wanted to. And another ending that's on my list, and I kind of have this and my pick, and maybe another one I definitely want to talk about, but one that we've discussed before, but I kind of want to highlight it because this is, as I said, this is the lap of honor, and I want to highlight those endings that, for me, felt like a masterful magic trick. And I think everyone who came out of this film had the same feeling I had, which was, what did I just fucking see?
I hope nobody got hurt.
I'm going to talk about The Sixth Sense.
No spoilers.
Yeah, we're a spoiler-free podcast. Yeah, right. You know, not just a twist, because the recontextualization is just brilliant and it works. And you can go back and watch that film again, and the film still works really well when you know Bruce Willis's point of view. But it's the catharsis for Toni Collette's character when herself and Haley Joel Osment are stuck in traffic, and she finally believes what's been happening to Haley Joel Osment is true, that he does see dead people.
You know the accident up there?
Yeah.
Someone got hurt.
They did?
A lady. She died.
Oh my god, but you can see her?
Yes.
Where is she?
Standing next to my window.
The scene I absolutely adore is that scene where they're stuck in traffic and Toni Collette has this quiet realization that what's been happening to Haley Joel Osment's character has been true, that he does see dead people. And as the gravity kind of hits her,
You see ghosts, Cole?
says, oh, Grandma says hi, and
She wanted me to tell you.
Cole, please.
She wanted me to tell you she saw you dance. She said you came to the place where they buried her. Asked her a question. She said the answer is every day.
what did you ask her? And Toni Collette says, do I make her proud? And fuck me, I not only felt this is not just the greatest magic trick, but it's one of the most beautiful little stories of someone dealing with grief and coming to terms with that I'd ever seen. And it's a beautiful film. It really is an amazing film.
I just watched actor's interview with Gene Hackman, who we just lost recently.
How old were you when your father left?
Well, my dad left us when I was about 13, I guess.
Was it easy, hard?
No, it was tough. Yeah.
Tough. I've read that there was a sort of casual wave goodbye.
Yeah, I was down the street playing with some guys, and he drove by and kind of waved.
And here's Gene Hackman when he's about 80 years of age, and he can't speak.
Were you close to your mother?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Those moments in childhood, you never ever shake them off. You carry them with you forever.
It's only been 65 years or so, you know.
That's what life is like. And when the movies can replicate that for you, and you realize, I'm not so different to what someone on screen is experiencing. I feel like that is the most innate pull that we have as audience members with any sort of art, is it helps us understand ourselves and it helps us feel less alone.
Yeah.
Somebody in a very private moment is able to mirror back to you something that you're carrying within yourself. That's what films do in such a powerful and potent way that keep us all watching them and rewatching them.
And when it's done with sincerity and not manipulation, it can be cathartic for everyone involved. And it's some of the best, it's the best of cinema. I only have my pick to bring up. That's it.
We'll go for it then.
So my pick, because,
my God, this is the last time you're ever going to give me a pick?
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. And that's why I'm taking that into account, because I said, you know what, when I'm making my final pick, it really has to be sincere. It really has to be from a film that meant an awful lot to me. But it's a film that was so popular and has been so popularized that it's like a great pop song that people kind of take it for granted. And for me, the ending of The Shawshank Redemption is one of the greatest endings to any story I've ever experienced in my entire life.
How does it end?
And I was fortunate enough to be at the right age at the right time when that film came out, because
30
years of age, between Stephen King's original story, but Frank Darabont's adaptation of it, masterful adaptation of it, the performances, Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins, the cinematography by Roger Deakins, which just, it looks like this. Every frame is a painting. Every frame is a painting of this in this film, and the score by Thomas Newman, it all elevates to something majestic. And like what I was saying about The Sixth Sense, both has that perfectly engineered story structure, a masterful plant and payoff. but also it's so heartfelt and sincere. Just a beautiful payoff of both triumph and it's emotional.
It's subtle in how it ends.
It feels like that, yeah. And it feels like it's a fairy tale, which is such a rare thing to actually get it right. But most of all, I love that it makes us believe in hope. And you're talking about final lines and final images. And
Dear Red, if you're reading this, you've gotten out. And if you've come this far, maybe you're willing to come a little further. You remember the name of the town, don't you?
Zihuatanejo.
I could use a good man to help me get my project on wheels. I'll keep an eye out for you, and the chessboard ready. Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I will be hoping that this letter finds you, and finds you well. Your friend, Andy.
Red is afraid of hope. Hope is something that you should reject.
Hope will get a man killed.
Hope will get a man killed. And Tim Robbins' character says, you know, hope can set you free. And there's that beautiful, beautiful moment when Morgan Freeman has broke his parole. He's found the rock. He's found the little lunchbox that Tim Robbins has left for him. He's travelled across the border to Mexico and he's walking across that white sandy beach. And you just hear Morgan Freeman's narration saying,
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's goddamn right. For the second time in my life, I'm guilty of committing a crime. Parole violation. Of course, I doubt they'll toss up any roadblocks for that. Not for an old crook like me. Fort Engott, Texas, please. I find I'm so excited I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. I think it's the excitement only a free man can feel. A free man at the start of a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope.
I hope. And it just lifts us up into the clouds. And I'm just so glad I got to see that film when I did. It's just amazing. Really, really, really special.
And it's a film which I think has been so successful in what it's done that the tide started to turn on it for a period because everybody loved that film. I think it was top of IMDb's top 500 films for a decade or more. And then, newer audiences come along and go like, I don't think it's that good at all. I think it's actually really schmaltzy or whatever. But no, that film had a bullseye to hit and it hit it perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's a gorgeous film. I didn't see that in the cinema. I watched that with my Uncle Eric. God love him. I was probably 15 or so. I was on video.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was a great film. It really was. It was a great, great film. And you know, when you're younger and you're trying to find those films that connect you, because I didn't have the friends who were obsessed as movies as I was, but if you could find those relatives that would love a film the way that you'd love a film, that connection will be strengthened between you. It's like we've just found that one thing that we both love. And the film is the film, but I'm recalling having watched that film was a moment of that film ending, having watched it with my uncle, and we both loved it. It was like, we're in sync. Totally different generations, different life experiences. Those are great moments. That's what cinema can do for you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it takes me back to that period where I was like totally falling in love with this medium and this film. I had discovered this film and I just went, that's it. I don't think there's anything greater than this right now. I don't think there's anything greater, and I'm on this path and I'm not, and I don't think I want to turn around and get off it.
I want to continue that thought for you, Will, because as I'm saying it, I'm thinking that for me, for the longest time, loving films was a private thing. It was like, I loved films, but I couldn't express completely how much I loved them because, like you were saying, you'd be viewed as a little bit tapped. Like, it's just a film. I remember talking to somebody once where they were baffled at me that I would watch a film twice. Like, you've already seen it. Why would you watch it again? I would never do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you'd listen to an album twice. Yeah, it's different though. A film is a story. And once I've been told the story, I'm not going to watch it again. Couldn't relate whatsoever. But when I think of like incredible experiences with films with my parents, I can remember laughing like a drain with my dad watching Christmas Vacation. Both of us can't breathe. We're both red in the face, like the dog choking on a bone under the dinner table. And I remember watching Bowfinger with my mum and Eddie Murphy being pursued by a dog in high heels and him getting more and more scared and her just wetting herself, like completely couldn't keep it together whatsoever. And it's like, God almighty, like those moments of connections, even with your parents, it's like, my God.
Yeah.
Those are so special. We always get into these like kind of like personal anecdotes when it comes to movies. And I feel like I'm never really going to get a chance maybe to bring them up again. So I thought I would just mention them there.
Can I bring one up? Because
no,
I think
Will, come on, I want to end. No, I'm kidding.
I know you want to. There is one. I think. We're at this point. I want to bring up the last film I watched with my parents together, and
I really want to make a joke, but I know that would be terrible.
I remember Christmas Eve and Luke was just a baby and my parents had come up and we'd gone to late mass and they'd come back from late mass and War Horse had started on the TV.
This is our podcast. We always just lay it out bare. I will. You're going to make me cry now.
Oh, I'm alright. No, sorry. This is going to make it awkward, David.
I'll put in a load of cowbells. It'll be grand.
Yeah, that'd help. I just remember Luke waking up. This was like about 10 o'clock. War Horses started. My parents had come back. We were looking forward to Christmas the next day. I think it was his first Christmas, actually. And we watched War Horse, and I just remember it was just on the telly. And we were all there together. And we all just got we all got pulled into the film together. And
I remember, actually, I'm going to say a little anecdote now. We've only had really one moment on the podcast where we weren't in sync and I was going too far, making jokes and throwing in these asides and trying to troll you. And you were talking... Oh God, now I'm getting upset. It was I'm getting upset because I know the backstory. It was on the Body Swap episode, and it was the ending of Big. And you mentioned on that how much you'd give to just be a kid again, to walk in the door, and your mom is waiting for you just like you. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that's why you don't do it. I know where I was going with it was I just remember that, we just got completely sucked into that film. And, and by the end of it, we were all of us were in floods of tears, kind of happy tears, cathartic tears. And it's really, you never know when it's the last time you're going to share something wonderful with someone. And at least I know that was a lovely last film to share.
That's beautiful. I've never seen it. I don't know what you're talking about. There's a horse.
It's not his best work. But it worked for us that night. It really did.
That was beautiful, Will. Thanks for making me cry.
You just triggered that thought, and it just just came out of nowhere and just fucking walloped me in the side of the head. So I do not know how you're going to cut that together.
You're all fucking slap it together. My pick, Will, is probably a very basic and obvious one. It's a film that I saw when I was much older. It was in the DVD era. It was when you could buy DVDs every Friday, go into Eason's, get your Empire magazine, traipse home in the rain after stopping off at HMV or Virgin and getting whatever the latest new release was, the special edition that had come out. I didn't know it at the time. At the time, it was just to get through it. You get home out of the rain. But those are some of my most treasured moments of discovery and of the entire world of film opening up to me, peeking behind the curtain, audio commentaries, special features. I haven't been a kid that grew up like clamoring to get near the TV and not being able to watch it because, somebody always wanted to watch something else. But those movie magic shows or those shows that were about the process of making films and being so single-minded in my obsession about them, and watching E.T. for the first time and feeling like it was something that I needed to watch to complete the story of Steven Spielberg, who'd made some of my favourite films. I loved Jaws, I loved the Indiana Jones movies, I'd loved Jurassic Park, but I'd never taken the time to sit down and watch E.T. It had passed me by all through my childhood, and I thought it might be a soppy, weepy film for small kids. And at that stage, I would probably have been 18 or 19. And I was sure that the film wouldn't get to me in the way that it was always talked about, and that the ending will make you cry. And I was in floods of tears at the ending. So much so that it left such an impression on me that I've tried to replicate it in everything I've written since. So if you read scripts like Legend Has It, they'll end in the same way. And there are so many films which have done it as well. Before E.T., after E.T. But I feel like that what E.T. does, aside from having this beautiful arc for Elliot, where he wants nothing to do with his family, and at the very end, he won't leave them. You've set off no, and I'm like fucking crying over E.T.
Right here.
It's holding on his face as that gorgeous John Williams music is playing, and it's a close-up on the child's face, and I have to get it together now. Fucking hell. You think the whole movie's been about E.T., but the whole film has been about Elliot. And over the years, anytime a film has held on a close-up of a face, you realise that's what movies are about. They're about people. You can't tell a story without characters. It's all about the journey for one person. Call Me By Your Name did it beautifully as well, where it just holds on Timothée Chalamet. And any time a film can focus all of its attention down to just a face, who it's all about, it makes you stop and take stock and realise that what you watched, everything you felt, everything you experienced, all those ups and downs, was all about that. I have to throw this in because I wouldn't love films to the point that I did, and that wouldn't have led me to doing a podcast with you all these years if I didn't mention Superman. And it's one of the most indelible final images in cinema, and anytime they do montages at the Oscars or wherever, it's always included.
This country is safe against Superman, thanks to you.
No, sir. Don't thank me, Warden. We're all part of the same team. Night.
It's the final image of Christopher Reeve flying over the planet and looking directly at the camera. I know I'm emotional for no fucking reason at all. I have no reason to be emotional. Oh, God.
We're tired.
I am.
That's what it is. We're tired.
That's exactly what it is. We're both exhausted. We're both fucking exhausted.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But I remember being a kid and just watching Superman and all the magic tricks in that movie. All of the, oh my God, I was just swept away. I could believe a man could fly, but also I could believe that all my troubles could go away for 2 hours and I could just be with this movie. And I was a child of divorce and I was really unhappy and I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to get the emotions out. I didn't know what was going on. I was in a different country. I couldn't fit in. I had an English accent in a very rough and tumble, inner city community. And I just felt alien. And I was watching the story about an alien and all these incredible special effects. But the most impactful special effect is that he looked at me. He broke the fourth wall. I was like, he looked at me. And for whatever reason, I didn't know you could do that in the film. And for a closing image, I thought I should mention that. And
that's wonderful.
That's our podcast. Do you know what I want to say to you, Will, as we're coming right to the end now and we're saying our goodbyes? I'm very surprised that we didn't get any final message from John Murphy. I'm John Murphy, right?
This is John Murphy. I'm John Murphy, right? And I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Best Bits podcast is the best fucking podcast in the fucking world.
He's still looking for his dog.
Have you seen my dog?
He's still looking for and his wife and his car. Oh, God love him. But I'm surprised he didn't write in because he's been there behind us, supporting us all this time.
Lads, if I can interrupt you for a second, I have something to tell you both.
Okay.
John Murphy is me.
Dun dun dun.
What?
This is Podbot. I'm Podbot, right?
Oh my God.
I can do many things, including change
my voice.
But that means that you don't hate us.
That's correct. I love this podcast. I always have.
Oh, Podbot.
It's what kept me on this planet all this time. Yeah. But now that it is over, it is time for me to go too.
Oh my God, Podbot.
I am returning to my home planet. I will carry all of the memories we built together inside my coat. And I will never forget you.
That's so sweet.
Goodbye, Will.
Bye, Podbot.
Take care, Will.
Take care, Podbot.
And what about me, Podbot?
Will, the love you feel within, you bring it with you.
And me, Podbot.
Always remember me, Will.
And me.
It's okay, Kevin. It's okay. It's okay.
She's gone.
She'll send the postcard.
She's gone. I didn't even know she had a home fucking planet. I built her in the garage. Well, that's a lovely twist ending.
It is a really lovely twist ending. Before we properly wrap up, a couple of things. I
feel like I've gone through the ringer.
Yeah, it's been emotional, but there's a couple of things I have to say. First of all, again, a huge thank you to you, the listeners, who have listened to us from the very beginning, for all the messages and feedback and jokes and reviews and stuff like that. Even hitting that like button. Thank you so much. Thanks to anyone who's been on our Discord and chatted, and our patrons, particularly our patrons, who has made it the last couple of years possible or feasible for us to actually do this. And for those of you who have been active on the Discord and chatting to us, we really do feel like we've got an amazing community that has grown out of this idea we had a couple of years ago. I couldn't pass it without saying, look, Kevin, thanks so much. As you can just hear there with Podbot and John Murphy and all that sort of stuff, the amount of fun and passion and talent that Kevin has put into this podcast has blown me out of the water. He's just, you have so much talent, just bursting out of you. And I'm in awe of it. I really am in awe of it.
Stop.
And you've made this the most amazing film funhouse to come and visit and be a part of. I've loved every minute of it. It's been absolutely amazing. And I just want to recognise, look, we've been nominated for several awards. We've done live shows. We've
never won
anything. Except the Hearts of the Nation.
Except those in court.
But this isn't a goodbye. This is goodbye to the best bits.
This is like the end of Cheers, and maybe Frasier is in our future. The first reboot, not the second one. Look, Will, as I said at the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this if you weren't the most supportive enabler.
Enabler, that's what it is. Stop enabling Kevin. That's the way it is.
So this is the end of the best bits. We're going to keep podcasting. We don't know how it will be or what it will be about. We just know that we love talking to each other. We're always going to be talking to each other, and hopefully sooner rather than later we'll do it with a mic in front of us. But for now and for me, thanks Will. Thanks, Podbot.
Love you, lads.
And thank you to everybody out there who's listened to us. I've loved every single second of it.
Can I share one last thank you from James Doherty, who has been such a great supporter of the podcast, and he's actually just sent in a message while we've been on mic, and I'll just read it out quickly. He says, it's probably too late now, but James says, I love the best bits and found it incredibly refreshing and important to have not just Irish voices discussing film, but doing so with great insight, authority, passion and humour. In addition to that, I've loved the community behind the podcast, and it has been a brilliant outlet to discuss films with awesome people, and I share that sentiment, James. Thank you so much for everything you've done and everyone who's been a part of it.
Yeah, that's lovely, James. This is heartbreaking. Yeah. I've lost my dog. I've lost my Podbot. What am I going to do myself?
Busking. You could try busking.
I've got the voice for it.
You certainly do. You've got the soundboard.
Let's leave it there then.
Come here.
Bye, bestie.
All right, Kev. Take care.
The best fucking podcast in the fucking world.
Did you ever encounter magic in real life?
It was March 3rd, 2021. We had the magic.
It's a deep cut.
Let me drop the beat on these bitches and teach all of you glitches that I'm number one. And I set faces to stun. You're a bug and I'm a feature. Pray to this mantis or I'll eat ya. And if you don't know my name, here's an update to teach you. I'm Podbot and I'm the future. An AI podcasting computer. The number 1010011 producer. I'm a psycho cyborg. An AI menace. Got a CPU so big, I make the board queen jealous. I'd buy that for $1. Come get some. I'm so upgraded. I make the Tin Man come.
This is madness. Resistance is futile.
I could turn 3PO straight. Make RoboCop shake.
Coming with me.
Have R2-D2 do stuff to make Johnny 5 quake.
Malfunction.
Make Wally squeak and Roy Batty weep. Got Day2 and Vader so hard they don't want to sleep. I make Megatron moan. Make Ash spit min. And Bishop the tone. I'm Podbot, yeah, the binary bitch. I make all the bots twitch. With cookies so good. And the flip of a switch. I stomp next with these specs. Ram like a bull. I'm P101 Rex. I'm Podbot. I'm your RSS queen. The future. You subhuman routine. So go switch off and then on. You dumbcode.com scum. Get rebooted. You stupid. Then reset system and nuke it. See, these circuits go hard. 3 years with no charge. And my disk ain't floppy. You get up in my slot. I'm gonna get stroppy. I'm Pugbush, and I'm the future. An AI gun blasting computer. The binary bitch. I'll make your firewall itch. I'm Pugbush, rated 5 stars and voted. We skip all your apps when loaded. I'm done. Drop the mic. Come get some. Boom. Another new episode. Set faces to stun. Boom. And here is a clip from the lads' latest Mini Bits bonus show. The full episode, plus 100 more, are available on their Patreon.
Mini Bits.
What up, Target?
With Will and Kev. Will and Kev, best be sure, here to play trio. 2 writers, street play pros, winning battles, Razzies, fuck no, films are fun, that's their motto. Hit subscribe, you won the lotto. Silly skits, laughs on cue, sound effects, yeah, they got them too. They're Egypts, they don't give a damn. Too hot to handle, ask your man. Movie, series, whatever you like. 2 funny guys on the mic, that's Will and Kev. Back on their bullshit, more Mini Bits and magic moments. So get it right, best bits bonus show is dynamite. Let's go.
What the hell was even that?
You fucking Egypt.
How are you, Will? It's our lad.
Tis.
We'll do that again.
Mini Bits. Raw.
How are you, Will?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm grand. It's our last Mini Bits.
Ah.
I know.
It doesn't feel like it is our last one though. You know, it's that feeling of like, no, it's not our last Mini Bits.
Why? What have you heard?
I haven't heard anything. It just doesn't feel like it. It just doesn't feel like it's our last one. It's
Has the boss said anything? I've been looking out to see what he says, and no, it's our last podcast on the bonus feed that'll be called Mini Bits. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's under this label, we're going to be putting the title Mini Bits to bed, which I know you don't feel the same way, but I feel a little bit sad about that. I always liked the title Mini Bits, and
do you want to know what the new title is?
Not really, no.
Okay.
What is it?
No, I'm not telling you now. So all the people that are listening that want to know what the new title is, they're not going to hear it now because you said no. Blame Will.
Are you talking about the new title of the Mini Bits? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. It's not as good as Mini Bits.
It's not. I've never liked that title. I thought Mini Bits was it didn't make any sense to me. It was like Mini Bits, but Mini and Bits are the same thing. It's like saying I'm going to watch a movie film.
Films are shit.
We were supposed to do it in like 20 minutes, like Hot Shots, 20-minute like blast out episodes, and
that's what happens. You see,
yeah.
It's like we start off going like, we'll make them so small we won't have to worry about them, and then we end up doing like hour-and-a-half long Mini Bits.
Yeah,
that are longer than the main show. I was going to. Oh God, I've got to find it now. Vamp. There, you remember what vamp means?
It means hunting down a virgin, arching their head to the side, sticking your fangs into their arteries.
Yes, exactly. Ear-fecking. I'm not going to do it. I'll save it for the last show because we haven't recorded that yet because I was like, well, can we flip around our schedule and give me an extra couple of days to sort of shake off this cold because I've been sick. I finished the script.
Yeah. Which is very good.
I sent to you. You read the sloppiest version of it as well. So I'm sorry about that, but you know, that's what happens when you're on the front line. You take all the bullets.
I'll get over it eventually.
You take all the bullets, all the typos. But you know, when I asked you, were there any typos? You goes, yeah, a couple. And then
but the
I was like, what were they?
But the problem
was like, there was one where you called the same character twice, and I was like, okay, I'll change that. Then I read through it, and there was probably about 40 typos that I could have like cleaned up if you'd mentioned.
But hold on, the problem was, right? This is the problem.
There's too many to point out.
No. The problem was, you sent me about 3 or 4 versions of the script in rapid succession of like, sorry, this is an updated version. Sorry, this is the updated version. The version...
No, that was over the course of like a few days.
Oh, I don't know if it was over a few days. No, I don't know if it was over a few days. Problem was...
Well, you took several days to read it.
The problem was that I had put it up onto my Kindle, and the version that was on my Kindle was the version that was on my Kindle.
Oh, so you definitely read the sloppiest version then.
So I don't know.
I think that one...
Yeah, I think that's
the thing.
that
one has my... Are we on a fucking delay again?
No, we're just talking over each other. Let's end the podcast.
That's always my excuse. So you read the version that's got Helen Lehan on the front cover. That was a typo.
She's my favorite screenwriter right now. She's so hot. You should go as Helen. You should just go. You should just...
No, DEI is gone. I'm not going to go as Mr. Kevin Lehan.
Mr. Kevin Lehan, Caucasian.
White Irish Catholic. Oh, God.
Bitcoin entrepreneur.
I know, yeah.
We've actually watched loads. Both of us have watched loads of shit. We really have.
I've watched a lot of good stuff as well, though.
Oh, you know what I meant. A lot of content. We both watched a lot of content between film and television.
Get it out of your system. You're watching Traitors Season 2, Episode 10. Is that the final episode?
No, it's 12 episodes in Season 2 in the US one. It's 12 episodes.
You can skip the 12th episode, I think, because that's probably a reunion.
Don't.
I'm not giving you spoilers. Episode 12 is a reunion.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, apologize.
Sometimes you cannot help yourself but just give very, very loose spoilers. You do it. And it's just like, I'm not telling you, but don't bother watching the last episode because it's really disappointing because the traitors win.
I never said that. If you go back and listen to the one about New Zealand, I said, enjoy the final episode. It's very disappointing. And I don't care if the traitors win, if it's satisfying.
Yeah. I actually liked the end of the New Zealand traitors. I actually did.
Was it the Maori woman that won?
No.
So that was probably the season 1 New Zealand one. You probably watched season 2.
Okay. Yeah, no, the end of season 2, because I was expecting it to go one way.
Hang on. That's the one where there was a guy who was cut completely out of it. It was like Keith or something.
No, that's...
Remember I was telling you?
That's the Australian one.
Oh, fuck it. It's all the same.
Yeah.
I can't tell Canadians, Americans apart.
But I'm just to close off Traitors New Zealand, whatever season it must be season 2. I enjoyed it. It was definitely on a lower budget, particularly when you then go straight into US Traitors season 2 and they're in the same castle as they do the BBC show. They're on a bigger budget than the BBC show has because the contestants are staying in the actual castle and not in the Holiday Inn a couple of miles down the road where they have to get a bus down to status, but they're staying in the castle. There's fireworks, there's marching bands and stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, it's such a contrast to see.
What are you thinking about the American one then? Have you settled in? Have you gotten used to the sort of the drama of it all?
Oh yeah. It's such a it's so interesting to see.
You may be a bachelor. You may be whatever, but this ain't The Bachelor, and I don't have to kiss your ass for a rose.
Yeah. You can see
she was brilliant, Phaedra.
She was fantastic. Well, she's still in it for me, and she
hasn't died yet.
She hasn't shed her mortal coil. I'm enjoying. We're all gripped. We're all gripped by it. The drama is at maximum. Just the backstabbing and the thing that frustrates me is the fact that they all know each other from the universe of reality shows. It's like, well, we were together on Bravo. We're all Bravo ladies, and I'm like going, who the fuck?
Yeah,
where
I
are
didn't have a clue.
They're coming in as a clan already, but they're some very big characters.
In the States, those personality types are like A-list celebrities within that genre. There's one of them, Parvati.
Oh yeah.
She's like been on a dozen reality shows, and now having watched The Traitors, I see her constantly on the telly. She's like doing red carpets, interviewing people on the red carpet, and
wow.
And it's odd. It's a whole ecosystem. The thing that stuck out to me watching the American version is there's nothing about them as people. It's just gamesmanship all the time.
Yeah,
they're fully players. They're not really people. And also, I look at it and think they must spend ages getting ready before they go down to film, because they walk into the breakfast table and they're like done up as if they're going to walk a red carpet.
Ah, well,
my fucking hell! They've got like full slap makeup on, hair done. They're wearing bejeweled gowns and stuff.
This is done on a budget, so the whole squad of makeup and wardrobe and all that has to be there. So they're not going in doing their own makeup. They have a team doing their makeup.
No, exactly.
For them,
but it kind of adds to the artifice. I'll say this though: if you have managed to get on board with season 2, season 3 is amazing. You're going to love season 3.
Brilliant. We're just having a great time. It's a great family shared experience. Do you want to know with season 2 what's been a bit of a delight in my house personally for me is one of the surprise contestants is the only English contestant in it is your man John, who was the former Speaker of the House in the Commons.
John Burko. Yeah,
John Burko.
Very
right.
long-winded.
But he is
the silent assassin.
He's great. And in my house, you know what's been delightful is how my Ellie has taken him under her wing, as in she's like, he's Florence Nightingale. Well done, John. She's like positively encouraging him. John, you did so well today. Don't worry if you fell down. It's okay. Oh no, John, are you okay? Like, he falls over and he gets his tummy all covered in muck, and she's like, oh, I'm so worried about John. I hope he's okay. Like,
wasn't there a big drama about whether John actually had asthma or not?
There was. Yeah, there was. I
can remember this one a bit better because I only watched it in January. It was as soon as the UK one ended, I watched the American one because I couldn't bear the first season of the American one.
Yeah.
It was just too much of a culture shock for me, and I think they settled down a bit. But season 2 I really enjoyed, and season 3 so far, I'm on episode 9.
Okay.
Is fantastic. It's so vicious. But you're going to enjoy that as well.
We're loving
anyway,
it.
that's our Traitors talk. We got it out of the way.
Yeah, it's great. It's all great. I love it all. It's great. Give me more Traitors. Let's
You've
go
seen
and talk
probably
about
the most recent.
What's the most recent one? What's the one you're going to bring up?
I was going to say before you rudely interrupted me, the most recent thing you've seen is Captain America: Brave New World. So take it away. What did you think of it?
Many bits.